Preliminary exam paper 1 for grade 12s. We are going to do a memo discussion of what was expected and how things were supposed to go. The prelim paper 1 is 2 hours, 70 marks, and we are going to go through the paper section by section until we get to the language parts. Let's remember our instructions. 30 marks is carried by the comprehension alone, which is text A and text B. The summary takes 10 marks. And section C, which is the advert, cartoon, and language, takes 30 marks. We are going to go to section A, and our title for the comprehension was Generational Diversity in the Workplace. One of the challenges that we face when it comes to comprehension is generalization. So it becomes difficult because learners always want now to use their own answers of what they know and about the topic, but we are supposed to go to the context of the comprehension itself. Remember, we have to read it 3 times so that we can be able to skim, to scan, and to understand. And therefore, we can be able to go through answering the questions according to the context. All right, let's begin. General diversity in the workplace. Diversity is an important issue in today's business landscape. HR, human resources departments in the workplace fulfill the vital role of ensuring that diversity, equity, and inclusion are handled correctly and sensitively by business managers. Many HR programs focus primarily on issues regarding race and gender diversity, but there is one type of diversity that is frequently overlooked: generational diversity. While this may not be as newsworthy as other types of diversity, it is no less important in a business. In fact, a 2018 study showed that 86% of workers prefer to work in multi-generational teams, defined as those who are at least 10 to 15 years apart in age. Why? Surveys show that age-diverse organizations come up with innovative ideas and creative solutions to challenges. But the benefits of generational diversity and the dangers of ignoring it run much deeper than that. Generational diversity is the concept of having a wide range of generations in the workforce. This is especially true today because people retire at a later age. Perhaps for the first time ever, 5 generations are represented in the workforce. Each generation grew up in a radically different time, which shapes how each sees the world. The oldest employees in the workforce are the traditionalists, born in 1925 to 1942, who remember the effects of World War II, a generation of disciplined, patriotic, and conservative citizens. Next are the baby boomers, born 1946 to 1964, born in the aftermath of World War II, when birth rates boomed. They grew up in a time of optimism, economic growth, and space exploration. After this are the Gen X's, born between 1965 to 1980, often identified as the latchkey generation, many of whom grew up in single-parent homes or in homes where both parents went out to work. As a result of this, the advent of personal computers and the internet, this generation became tech-savvy and greatly independent. Millennials, born 1981 to 1996, came next, a generation which was encouraged to take risks and become entrepreneurs in a tech-driven world. Finally, Gen Z, born 1997 to 2013, is the newest generation to join the workforce. Born in the shadows of increasing crime and violence and the threat of economic insecurity, this generation has been dubbed digital natives. The best workforces often have a mix of people from each of these generations. One of the key benefits of generational diversity is knowledge sharing. By hiring those of the younger generations now and having them mentored by those of the older generations, baby boomers can ensure that businesses survive after the older ones have retired. A multi-generational workforce can better appeal to a larger target market as each generation is better able to anticipate and respond to the demands of the consumer community at large. Without generational diversity, businesses will find it difficult to hire, engage, and retain skills. Any employee will be hesitant to join or remain employed in an organization in which he or she is not represented. A lack of representation often leads to dissatisfaction in which he or she is not represented. A lack of representation often leads to dissatisfaction and a high rate of employee turnover, which becomes expensive. It costs a company, on average, 6 to 9 months of an employee's salary to replace him or her. One of the biggest hurdles to overcome when encouraging generational diversity in the workplace is ageism, better known as age discrimination. According to a workplace survey conducted in 2021, 45% of employees reported having experienced or witnessed ageism. In addition to age discrimination, communication between the generations is also a challenge. This is largely due to having different social and historical reference points and different culturally determined experiences. The reality is, generational diversity is not going to disappear. So these challenges must be addressed. Educating employees is key to overcoming these challenges. Employees must be taught to reject stereotypes and misinformation about other generations, which is perpetuated by the media, while at the same time understanding that every generation has developed by the media, developed a worldview based on the world in which they grew up. Each generation can add value to the workforce and all generations can mentor each other. Each generation has a unique skill set which can be shared with members of the generations outside their own. A positive interaction between the generations can be fulfilling, energizing, and even life-changing. In conclusion, successful businesses should include a generationally diverse workforce in which the generations explore their differences, build empathy for each other, and most importantly, support each other towards the common goal of success and job satisfaction. Right, our text B was in a cartoon form. The old believe everything, land is flat, the world is flat, sweet home, my land, your yard, plots, conspiracies, Eskom, Esken, super forever, is the middle age, suspect everything. Knowledge is power, out, the young know everything. All right, let's go to the questions and see what was expected of us. It says refer to the title. We're going to go back to the title quickly. It says generational diversity. Explain your understanding of generational diversity. Our title said generational diversity in the workplace. We had to give our own understanding, I believe. Explain your understanding of generational diversity. It was a 2-mark question, and therefore it means it was based on understanding what the passage referred to. So it was the different generations, people of all ages, will be very clear. It's definitely people of all ages. When we say people of all ages, we are talking about interacting with each other in the same workplace. It was 2 marks. In the same workplace. We had different age groups brought in, so that's why we're saying different generations, and we had to give our 2 marks, whereby we touched on generational and we touched on diversity. Outline what is meant by the term business landscape. We're going to go back to paragraph 1, which says diversity is an important issue in today's business landscape. This is where we are. So our question says, what is meant by the term business landscape? The landscape can be definitely the setting and the factors that affect the business. just setting itself. Of the business. But we're also going to refer to all the other factors that affect its operations. Or impact its operations. Okay. And then our third question says, the writer reveals that 86% of workers prefer to work in a multi-generational environment. Why do you think that is so? It was your opinion. This was an opinion question, so which means you were drawing from your own understanding. Experience, gaining experience can be one of them. There are so many. Gaining experience, learning how to adapt, understanding job challenges from them, etc. I've given 3, you just needed 2. And therefore, when you have a multi-generational environment, it means that you learn how to adapt because they have adapted before, the older ones. You gain experience from them. You understand the job challenges as they have gone through them as well. And therefore, it's also an exchange of values. Exchange of values. Exchange of job skills. Any of those will be accepted. It is an opinion question, so it's based on your opinion. And then 1.4 says, comment on the name digital natives given to the Gen Z generation. When we say digital natives, this refers to they are born into a world that is already digitally advanced, a world in which they have knowledge about the digitalization and computers, so they cannot operate without the digital technology. So they are born into a digital world already. Born into a digital world. They know how to operate. Technology. They are oblivious of existing without technology. They cannot cope. Literally, they cannot cope without technology because they are born into that world. Summarize the points that the writer is making in this paragraph. Let's quickly go to paragraph 6. Paragraph 6 says, the best workforces often have a mix of people from each of these generations. One of the key benefits of generational diversity is knowledge sharing. By hiring those of the younger generations now and having them mentored by those of the older generations, baby boomers can ensure that businesses survive after the old ones have retired. Okay. And then they said, summarize the point the writer is making in this paragraph. Okay. One of the things mentioned is that when generations are working together, there is sharing of knowledge. So when there is sharing of knowledge, the young ones look up to the older ones and they train them so that they can continue the workforce and the workload after they have retired. If we go back to that paragraph quickly. This is what we're referring to as the major point there. Knowledge sharing, that's number 1. Mentoring, that's number 2. Survive, after all the ones have retired. Those are our 3 points. And I believe our question was 3 marks for us to understand that part. So those are the 3 things that are coming out as the main points in that paragraph 6. Yes, it is 3 points. Summarize the point the writer is making in this paragraph. Correct. So those are the 3 things that are coming in, whereby they share them the knowledge of how to sustain in the workplace, and then they act as their role models that the young ones look up to when it comes to the workforce, and then they will hand over the baton to them once they retire, so that the young ones can continue. Account for possible employee dissatisfaction is outlined in this paragraph. Let's quickly go to paragraph 8. Paragraph 8 says, without generational diversity, businesses will find it difficult to hire, engage, and retain skills. Any employee will be hesitant to join or remain employed in an organization in which he or she is not represented. A lack of representation often leads to dissatisfaction and a high rate of employee turnover, which becomes expensive. It costs a company on average 6 to 9 months of an employee's salary to replace him or her. Consumer hesitant to join, not represented. The question said, account for possible employee dissatisfaction is outlined in this paragraph. One of the key areas is not feeling appreciated. When an employee feels unappreciated, that's a lack of representation that we're talking about. So not respected, not appreciated, not listened to, validated. So the reasons, it's lack of validation. Those are the things that are coming out when we talked of lack of representation. There was lack of validation. First one. There is lack of appreciation or unappreciation. Lack of appreciation and lack of disrespect. And lack of respect. Any of those were acceptable. And then it says, discuss the reasons why different generations would have different world views. Let's go to paragraph 11 quickly. Paragraph 11 said, the reality is generational diversity is not going to disappear. So these challenges must be addressed. Educating employees is key to overcoming these challenges. Employees must be taught to reject stereotypes and misinformation about other generations, which is perpetuated by the media, while at the same time understanding that every generation has developed a worldview based on the world in which they grew up in. Our question says, discuss the reason why the different generations would have different worldviews, expectations of the world. Employees must be taught to reject stereotypes, yes, expectations. So we're talking about the stereotypes, we're talking about misinformation, and then every generation has developed a worldview based on the world in which they grew up. So the things that we're touching on in this question, which was question 1.7, discuss the reasons why the different generations would have differing worldviews. 2 reasons must have been given to get a full 2 marks. Expectations of the society, expectations of the world, the norms, the belief systems, the values will always impact how a person will look at the world and view the world. And I believe they are also basing on the understanding of the world at the time that they are born. So those are the two reasons that could have been discussed. An outlook of the life that they have been handed down, passing on of values, passing on of norms, passing on of expectations. So those are the reasons that we expected. Based on your own experience, outline why stereotyping should be rejected in the workplace. This was your own provocative response. So as a result, you're supposed to give the negative impact of stereotyping, which could be, what is this one? A worker feeling shunned, excluded, a worker feeling less valued, experience not being shared. There were so many. A person can have valuable experience but cannot share it, not being shared. So any of those reasons, it depends on your experience. That's my experience, but you have yours. Provide a synonym for the word perpetuated. It was according to the context. So everything that we do is according. Let's go to paragraph 11 and see what could have fit in that space of perpetuated. It says, and misinformation about other generation which is perpetuated by the media. So it could be, it said a synonym for the word perpetuated. Continued by the media. It also could have been shared by the media, enforced by the media. Any of those is acceptable because we have to give it according to the context. Identify, it says, identify one way in which you could add value to the workplace in the future. This was your experience of how you can add value to the workplace. When it's such questions, please make sure that you use your knowledge. We're doing LO, remember, CAPS incorporates other subjects. So this is you bringing in the value of your human being in the workforce in the future, of how can you add value of you becoming part of the workplace. So this was your own response and personally based on you. These are free marks for you guys. You must really take them as much as you can. Critically discuss to what extent you agree with the conclusion made by the writer. Let's go to the conclusion. To what extent? So which means, do you agree or do you disagree? So there were two ways you could have gone with this one. Let's go to the conclusion. The conclusion said, in conclusion, successful businesses should include a generationally diverse workforce in which the generations explore their differences, build empathy for each other, and most importantly, support each other towards the common goal of success and satisfaction. Reasons were supposed to be given. If you agreed, you could have talked about it is a benefit to the business because there is a common ground which is achieved for the betterment of the business and the company, and therefore it means that success and growth will be there in that company. Or you could have said it because of the different, you disagree, maybe because of the different age groups, there is a clash of values, there is a clash of how the job must be done, and therefore there will be criticism coming down from the older generation to the younger generation. Remember, you have to substantiate yourself. This was a free mark as well, because at the end of the day, it's you agreeing or disagreeing. And then let's go to text B. Outline the writer's message in this text. Okay, let's go to text B. Text B had three generations: the old, the middle-aged, and the young. So they said, what is the message? Each generation has its own. There are differences in the generations. I believe that's the first thing we're seeing there. Differences in the generations. It's the first one that we see. We're talking about there are differences in the generations. That's exactly what we're seeing. But at the end of the day, we should accept each other's differences, accept each generation's differences, and exist in unison. That's the message. We must exist in unison despite the differences that we have. And then 1.13, the young know everything. Can the statement be viewed as a form of stereotyping? This was agreement or disagreement. Give a reason for your answer. The young know everything. I believe that is a criticism already. There is a little bit of sarcasm. There is even a question mark there. But this is not for all people, not all young people. Believe they know everything. Others are eager for knowledge. So it's an implication that youngsters think that they know everything and are better than the other generations. So is it? Yes, it can be a form of stereotyping. It can be. As the sarcasm, that is very clear there. Sarcasm seems to include all young ones. But the answer to the question is no, they don't know everything. They don't know everything. It's not all youngsters who portray this attitude. It is not all youngsters who portray this attitude. So that's how you could have fed there. All right. To what extent does text B illustrate the information given in paragraph 5 of text A? Okay. We have to go back to text A, paragraph 5, so that we can find out what is said about the young, the old, and the middle, according to our text B. Paragraph 5 said the oldest employees in the workforce are the traditionalists, and then it talked about their disciplined, patriotic, and conservative citizens. Okay. Characteristics of the traditionalists are given there. Baby boomers, and they talked of optimism, economic growth, and space exploration. Gen X, what is this one? Millennials take risks, become entrepreneurs. Newest generation, and so forth. Increase in crime and violence, economic insecurity. Okay, so they said, how does text B illustrate paragraph 5? Each generation is different, has different characteristics. I'm seeing different characteristics for each generation. So which means we are saying text B, we're also seeing characteristics given they believe everything. The middle suspect everything, know everything. So those are different characteristics, yes. Paragraph 5, text A, let's be clear. Text A, paragraph 5, lists the different characteristics of each generation. Which is illustrated by text B. That has pointed out characteristics dominating the different generations. Definitely there is a support there. We are very clear. It's the same thing. It's characteristics of different age groups that are brought out by both. That is our comprehension, our 30 marks. If you realized you had a lot of them asking for your opinion, I believe you had almost 8 marks that needed your own understanding of an answer. Let's go to question 2. The article gives advice. Please always highlight your key points. Managing a multi-generational workplace. Your summary should include 7 points and must not exceed 90 words. Fluent paragraph fluency must be achieved. Remember, use of connectors must be done. You're not required to include a title for the summary. Indicate the word count at the end of your summary. Managing a multi-generational workplace. All right, what were you looking at? It says managers have much to deal with in the workplace, but one particular challenge is of managing multiple generational generations at the same time. Okay, we definitely are taking that one, the challenge. What was our question? Our question says advice on managing a multi-general workplace. Okay, diversity is on paragraph 2. From a fresh 18-year-old intern to the tiring 6-year-old veteran, each generation is different as there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Very true. We're taking that. That's advice. Right, we are there. Number 2, training is crucial to employees of all ages, especially if generational conflict is to be prevented. All generations must be encouraged to respect each other's differences. This is very true. All generations must be encouraged to respect each other's differences. That's our second point, to solve generational conflict there. And then mentorship programs ensure that all generations are given an opportunity to share their expertise, even if there are challenges. That's our next point. Definitely, we are taking it. And then it says such programs also assist with building strong relationships between employees, work together and increase positive and successful working environment. Okay, what are we saying? Building strong relationships. Okay, and then we are talking about 1, 2, 3, building strong relationships. Constructive critique. Transparency is an important quality. That's a point, definitely. We are taking it as a point. It is. When conflict arises, it should be resolved as quickly as possible. Constructive criticism must be encouraged. That's a point. Any negative conflict should be investigated and the source determined in order to pave the way to common ground. Many managers do not take time to listen, understand the need to develop good working relationships, communicating with employers. That's a point, definitely. There are also, okay, let's see, beyond the differences encountered among employees of different generations, there are also many similarities shared by them. The different generations have a lot more in common than many people might think. Most employees seek an enjoyable working environment and do not want to feel like their jobs are just a means to an end. They want to earn fair compensation for the work that they do. They want to build a good standard of living and want to be valued. be appreciated, valued. Yes, that's a point for their contribution. If a manager is successful, unite employees, opportunities, creating opportunities which unite his employees and is able to reduce their frustrations. Okay, let's see how many points we raised so far. I saw 1. Okay, let's be very clear. I saw 1. I saw 2. I saw 3 of mentorship. I saw 4. I saw 5. I saw 6. And I have 7. I saw 8. You need any 7? So I saw 8. This one is the 8th one. Any of those points give you a summary, and therefore you have 8 points there. All right, let's go to text D, which is our advertisement. Start the advertisement, text D, and answer the questions that follow. Right, when we're coming to text D, perfect for folks who prefer more community and less retirement. It's about time, we believe, to put the emphasis on the correct word in retirement community. With all our fun programs, activities, and choices galore, living at Fairwinds, Redmond is mighty active, social, and dare we say it, cool. Now that's community with a capital C. Call now to schedule your complimentary lunch and tour, and get ready to see a retirement community that has its heart and emphasis in the right place. Fairwinds, Redmond, it's more than a retirement, it's 5-star fun. Okay, identify one example of Americanism in the advertisement. Americanism can be identified by the synonymity of words, whereby we use a certain word and they use a different one, which is slightly fun than ours. Or it can be the spellings. We have doubles, they might have one, so those are the things. Okay, it's definitely programs. Our programs has a double M. Definitely programs has a double M. Theirs is 1. That is an example of Americanism there. That's Americanism. And then 3.2, explain the idiom to have your heart in the right place. Good intentions is what we're talking about. Having good intentions. It was 1 mark. Good intentions. Outline the connotation in the reference to 5-star. Remember, we rate these ones. Remember our reviews when we have a rating and we give it a 5-star, a 4-star, a 3-star. High standards. Quality is what is implied. High standards. Quality. High standards. We're talking about quality as well. We can also which means the retirement community provides the suitable living for the adults, for the older generation. And then 3.4 says more community and less retirement. Explain why this can be considered to be an example of persuasive language. Its job is to convince. It's to convince. We're definitely talking about it convinces. But what is it convincing now? To consider the older people to be registered and stay there, to be part of a community that is fun, and it will not be a retirement because it is fun, and it means they'll be living. Yes, it is convincing. So it's not a retirement, it's actually starting a new fun life. Starting a new fun life. So it convinces target audience to register their old ones. Slows down the retirement, it says. Evaluate the visuals with reference to the product which is advertised. Let's look at the visual quickly. The visual is of a retirement home. Yes. Retirement home. As we see senior citizens happy, enjoying themselves, which is what was said. Fun, less retiring. So the connection is in visual had to be given. We started with visual. The visual is of citizens of a retirement home. Happy and enjoying themselves. Which is what is reinforced by the message, by the product. It was the product that promises a fun retirement village. Okay, and less retirement, they said. Comment on the irony in the use of the word cool with regards to the target market. Target market is older people, senior citizens. That is slang. Cool is slang. That's the irony. The irony is it is a slang word known to be used by the young generation, but the target audience is an older generation or senior citizens. That's where we're getting the irony, but it is used now to emphasize on the youthfulness of the elderly citizens that will stay there, as it will be fun. It means it will be fun, and therefore it will be more youthful and not boring. Let's go to question 4. Study the cartoon text here and answer the questions which follow. Hi, Louis. Hi, and Louis. Welcome to the Hiram Flexstone School of Driving. This is nearly as painful as real school. You've learned a lot about rules and laws today. You learn other car stuff. Like what? Like driving in reverse. Our car has a backup camera and changing a flat tire. Our car doesn't even have a spare. It has a can that seals and inflates the tire. And changing all spark plugs and bulbs. I can get all that done at a quick stop place. I don't care. These are things you need to learn. Why? Because my father made me learn them. Do I have to learn how to hitch up a horse and buggy too? Account for the shape of the speech bubble in frame 3. In frame 3, this is our frame 3. It's a thought bubble. This one. We are here. This is our thought bubble. So it shows it's a thought. It's not something said out loud. That's what we mean. Thought bubble. Reflecting what has been thought rather than spoken out. Comment on the father's body language in frame 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. He has a smile on his face. He has his arms around the boy. There we go. The arm around the boy. That's where we are. Smile on his face. He's even using his hands to express himself, showing his confidence. This is definitely confidence, showing the father's confidence. We had to describe it first. Confidence, as we said, as we started off by mentioning the issue of arm around the boy, arm around the boy's shoulders, We are also talking about We are also talking about gesturing with his hand, gesturing with his hand. And I believe he's very excited about what is about to teach the boy. Explain the reason for the change in the father's expression from frame 5 to frame 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like driving in reverse. And then facial expression changes here. Changes here. That's where we are. 6, 7, okay. And then we are supposed to now explain. In frame 5, my apologies. In frame 5, the father is excited, happy, smile on his face, showing excitement, but it changes now. Okay. We are talking about smile, showing excitement. Not happiness, not everything is happiness. Grade 12, changing to a frown, showing his anger. It was 2 marks. Identify the purpose of the apostrophe in frame 6. What was the apostrophe used for? In frame 6? In frame 6. Our card doesn't. It has a can that seals and inflates the tire. It was a contraction. This is definitely a contraction. It's contraction. Refer to the cartoon as a wall. Write down one word to describe the boy's attitude to his father. When he takes him so light, okay. The father wants to teach him, but he is disrespectful, can come in. Uninterested, indifferent, any of those could apply. Disrespect, indifference, disinterest can come in. Outline the sarcasm explained in line 9. The father is teaching him things that he can learn from and be able to utilize them in an emergency. Yet they're outdated because the child is now in an era where cars technologically advanced and built. So the sarcasm is in the teachings of the father are outdated. That's why the child is sarcastic, are outdated, as they only functioned during the time of the father in the olden days. Irrelevant now for the child, that's a sarcasm. Irrelevant in an era of technologically built cars. Built cars. That's our sarcasm in frame 9. Okay, let's go to question 5. Gen Z making a difference. Name is Malala, born 12 July, Pakistan. Oh, my apologies. Pakistan, it says, gender female, educational activist, 2014 Nobel Peace Prize laureate, famous quote, "When the world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful." Malala Yousafzai was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize when she was 17 years old. She is the world's youngest Nobel Prize recipient. She is known for her human rights advocacy, especially in the area of education for women and children in a native homeland where the Taliban had at times banned girls from attending school. Her advocacy has grown into an international movement, and according to the former Pakistani Prime Minister, she has become Pakistan's most prominent citizen. On 9 October 2012, while she was traveling on a bus after writing an exam, Malala and 2 other girls were shot by Taliban gunmen in an assassination attempt to target her for her activism. The bullet struck her head and she remained in an unconscious and in a critical condition for many months. The attempt on her life sparked an outpouring of international support. The Taliban were internationally denounced by governments, human rights organizations, and feminist groups. After Malala's recovery, she began to fight for the rights to education in earnest. Time magazine featured her as one of the most influential people globally. In 2017, she was awarded honorary Canadian citizenship and became the youngest person to address the House of Commons in Canada. Malala completed her education in England in 2017. She won a scholarship to Oxford University and undertook 3 years of study for a BA degree in philosophy, politics, and economics, and graduated in 2020. On 10 October 2021, Malala married Asa Malik, a manager for Pakistan's cricket team. They currently live in Birmingham. Right, when we're coming, it says identify and remove the redundancy in paragraph 2. Let's go to paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 says, Paragraph 2 says, she is known for human rights advocacy, especially in the area of education for women and children in her native homeland where the Taliban had at times banned girls from attending school. We definitely have native and homeland. That's it means the same thing. That is definitely our redundancy there. One of them has to come out. Okay, give a synonym for the word prominent in paragraph 3. Let's go and read it. Her advocacy has grown into an international movement, and according to the former Pakistan Prime Minister, she has become Pakistan's most prominent citizen. Important. It's definitely important citizen. I will take important there. What part of speech is the word Taliban in paragraph 4? Okay, let's go to paragraph 4. On 9 October 2012, while she was traveling on a bus after writing an exam, Malala and 2 other girls were shot by Taliban gunmen. The gunmen, Taliban, it's a proper adjective. It is a proper adjective. And then identify and correct the spelling error in paragraph 4. Let's go see. I didn't see that one. I need to go back. On 9 October 2012, while she was traveling on a bus after writing an exam, Malala and 2 other girls were shot by Taliban gunmen in an assassination. There's our spelling error. We are supposed to have a double S there. Double S for the first Asa, double S for the second C nation. So we are having Asa C nation. That's how we spell it. Identify the abstract noun in the same paragraph. Paragraph 4 was loaded. Abstract noun. Let's see. Was shot by a Taliban gunman in an assassination attempt to target her for her activism. The bullet struck her head and she remained in an unconscious and in a critical condition for many months. Abstract noun. Writing an and 2 other girls were shot by a Taliban gunman in an assassination attempt to target her for her activism. That's our abstract noun. Sometimes you have to read the sentence so that you can be able to identify these language errors. You have to read it. It's definitely activism. Correct the Concord error in paragraph 5. Oh, this was difficult, eh? The attempt on a life sparked an outpouring of international support. The Taliban were internationally. The Taliban was internationally. That's our Concord era. It's supposed to be where becomes was. Concord era, where becomes was. Account for the italics in paragraph 6. The italics were on after Malala's recovery, she began to fight for the rights to education in earnest. Time magazine was the italics. It is definitely the title. It's the title of the magazine. It's the name of the magazine. So we are clear there. Title or name of the magazine. What type of sentence is the last sentence in paragraph 6? Oh, it says in 2017, she was awarded honorary Canadian citizenship. We have a coordinating conjunction and became the youngest person to address the House of Commons in Canada. We have a compound sentence. We have one coordinating conjunction. It's a compound sentence. And then 5.9 says, Malala won a scholarship to Oxford University in 2017. Write the statement in passive voice. Malala won a scholarship. Malala is our subject. Our object is a scholarship. This is our subject. This is our object. This is our verb. Now we are switching a scholarship to Oxford University. Was won. That's our tense now. By Malala. In 2017. There we go. Remember, we have to switch. The subject now becomes the object. The object has to become the subject now. Write the abbreviation in paragraph 7. Let's go to paragraph 7 quickly. Malala completed education in England in 2017. She won a scholarship to Oxford University and undertook 3 years of study for a BA degree. We are asking for the BA. That's our abbreviation. It's a Bachelor of Arts degree. It's a Bachelor of Arts degree. That is our abbreviation in full. And that's the end of our section. We finally come to the end of our memo discussion. All the best to those who are preparing.